What's going on, everybody? We're back. Another NFL pod, special edition here in the holidays. Views from Section 400. You guys already know the deal by now. I'm Matt, joined by Jack and Brian to talk a little NFL in our final full NFL slate of the year. Gets a little tricky with Bowl Miss. We're splitting the show up next week, and obviously then we roll into the playoffs. And every team isn't there. So we'll only cover the teams that are there, and obviously some teams will be sitting on the couch. So really the last full time before the holidays get crazy that we can dive into an NFL slate. I didn't do too well last week, so I told you guys I'm coming locked in. I got the quarter zip on. I'm ready to go. Locked in for this slate. I'm bringing some juice. I'm looking at maybe go undefeated. I know that's tough to do. But let's see, maybe if I can pull off a only 2 or 3 loss week, I would definitely would be totally electric. But without further ado, I think it's time to kind of get into it. What do we say, guys?
Do it.
Let's do it.
Let's run into it, right? First game, Vikings-Bengals, Saturday at 1:00. So we get the NFL slate on Saturday. Finally, it's always electric. I think it's all right. I don't hate the Saturday NFL slate. There's a lot of nonsense games on Sunday anyway. The regular season's ending, and we'll definitely get into some disgusting games here. But Jack, how are you reading this one as we kick off Saturday NFL?
Yeah, Vikings coming into this one with Nick Mullins under center. Don't have a lot of faith in him. I guess they lost faith in Josh Dobbs, sat him down on the bench. Jake Browning on the other side, filling in for Joe Burrow, electric. And I'm just excited for him to get another win for this Bengals team. It's definitely putting some pressure on the rest of those teams in the AFC wildcard race. I don't think the Vikings are really going to be able to hold on to their spot in the NFC race with Nick Mullins under center. So love that defense over there in Minneapolis, but I'm going with the Bengals in this one, -3.
Brian, how are you reading this one, man?
Yeah, no, I agree with everything Jack just said. So I said a couple weeks ago, Cincinnati was going to make the playoffs with Jake Browning because it's the month of the Huskies, and Jake Browning, of course, a Washington Huskies alum. The 3 kind of scares me just because, it's weird. You always say you hate pushes, and I hate pushes too. So instead of taking the -2.5, what I'm going to do is go Jake Browning, alt passing over, just 200 yards, just throw for 200. And the Bengals on the money line, that should get you a nice little +101 or +105, whatever it is. But that's the pick here.
Yeah, I love that play, man. Love it a lot. I won't be a copycat, so I won't give that out. But I don't hate that pick at all. I honestly like Jake Browning to throw a little more here. So I'm comfortable taking his over. I think on FanDuel you can get him at 235. ESPN bet you might be able to get him at 230. Some of the other books are hovering around that range. I like him all the way up to 240, 245. I think he slings the ball around. The Vikings defense isn't very good, so I see them having a good day. And look, the Bengals are hot right now with Browning at quarterback, so I think they keep it going, especially at home. And Nick Mullins isn't that good, so the Bengals defense shouldn't look horrible. But I think that's kind of how this game plays out. Browning should be able to do what he usually does, and we'll kick off NFL Sunday or NFL Saturday with a big Jake Browning day and probably a Bengals win. So good stuff there. Moving on to the Steelers and the Colts, Saturday, 4:30 p.m. Kind of an interesting game here. Two teams in the playoff picture, on the playoff picture. I mean, both 7-6 fighting for wild card spots. Steelers probably not really any shot at the division as they kind of faltered off here. But yeah, I'll start with you, Brian. Is there some Gardner Minshew magic brewing here?
I hate both these teams. I guess the Colts are fun. They helped us cash our squad ride with, although the Bengals mainly did the did the hard work in that over. But I think the Colts are more likely to make the playoffs than the Steelers, and the numbers back that up, especially if they win this week. Mitchell Trubisky, I know he was a high pick. I know he's probably a great guy, but that guy should never be in the playoffs. So for that reason and that reason alone, I'm taking the Colts at home here.
Yeah, I do also like the Colts in this one for the same reasons Brian said. If you're going to look at these two teams entering the playoffs, you got to give the nod to, unfortunately, not Mike Tomlin, but on the other side, Colts. I mean, they're a pretty good squad. Gardner Minshew has kept them alive throughout all this. One thing to note for this game, they won't have Jonathan Taylor. He's been banged up, pretty much all season, but he has been around for a little while, gave this offense a little extra life. I'm going to stay away from this game. I think both of these teams want it real bad, and it could go either way when all is said and done. My play in this one is going to be Jalen Warren on his rushing over, set at 46.5 right now. I'm going to take the over on that. I think that the Steelers know that he's probably their best playmaker on offense right now. I know Pickens and Deontay Johnson are great receivers over there. Pat Freiermuth's a good tight end, but Jalen Warren's the most explosive player on that offense, and I think that he's going to need to get at least 50 yards rushing in this game. Regardless of a win or not, they need to feed him the ball.
Yeah, and Trubisky isn't really that competent of a passing quarterback. At least he hasn't shown it. And I know his over under set at like 170.5. So that shows you that Vegas doesn't see him having a field day. But they also didn't see Zach Wilson having a field day when his line was 184.5 last weekend and he threw for over 300 yards. So it's still to be seen, but I can't have any confidence in Trubisky, especially what we saw him do against the Patriots defense, which is okay, but the Patriots aren't that good, so no faith there. I think it's really all Shane Steichen, man. The offense is electric. He is a guy that the Eagles let get away. Obviously, if you get offered a head coaching position, that's kind of the way it goes. But he look at the Eagles' offense from last year and look at it this year. I mean, it's a night and day difference. It's Shane Steichen is the sole reason. And now look at the Colts with Gardner Minshew. They're moving the ball downfield. The offense is usually pretty fluid and they're getting the ball into their playmakers' hands, i.e., fucking Mike Pittman, and they're scoring points. So they have a winning record. They're getting it done with Gardner Minshew, and I think Shane Steichen will be an elite head coach if he's not already. Obviously, he's a rookie head coach, so it's yet to be seen. I think he'll be an elite head coach for years to come. I think the Colts finally found their long-term, solution at the head coaching position. But a play in this game, I got to stick with the hot hand. I said they'll get the ball to Pittman early and often. Over 6.5 is another doable reception line for him. He's been averaging in that 8 to 10 range. They're going to give him a lot of targets. So as long as he catches the ball, he's going to soar over this over for 6.5 receptions. So look for him to have 8+ receptions on the day. Think he clears the 6.5, and that's my play for that. But I want to jump into the next one now. The final Saturday night or the final Saturday game happens to be at night, Saturday, 8:15. Broncos Lions. Broncos traveling to Detroit. So Brian will get his Ford Field aesthetic. I know the Broncos, have been playing well. Lions are 9-4, and they're looking to kind of keep turning it around here and stay electric. They've been relatively solid on the spread. I'm going to take a minus the 4.5. Think they could win this by a touchdown, and especially at home. That's the way I see it, man. They've been solid they've been good against the spread, so I'll take the spread minus the 4.5. They could probably win this one by a touchdown. But Jack, how do you see this one playing out up in Detroit?
Yeah, so before I get to my prediction, I see in the notes here, Cortland Sutton has scored a touchdown in 8 out of 9 games this year. Last year, Russ comes over. Everyone's thinking, Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, they're going to have great seasons. I'm on Prize Picks. I see Cortland Sutton's touchdown line on the season is set at 5.5. Hammered the over on that. Said, oh my gosh, he get 6 touchdowns on the season. He's getting Russell Wilson in his to throw him the ball now. This has got to cash easy. Well, he had a pretty tough season last year, as did Russell Wilson, as did the entire Broncos offense. So that did not cash. This year, I mean, come on, that would have cashed a couple weeks ago. It's just sometimes it's all about timing, right? You got to get the years right. Maybe I should have done it two in a row, but moving on from that and not really moving on too much. My play in this game is going to be a Sutton TD. The Lions defense has been very, very poor over the past few weeks, especially their pass defense. Something happened to their pass rush. I know they've had a couple of key injuries, but they've allowed opposing quarterbacks to throw the ball at will, and I think Cortland Sutton gets in the end zone this weekend. I think Russell Wilson has himself a pretty decent day. Even though I do like the Lions to win, I'm just going to go with the Sutton TD in this one.
I mean, yeah, you both kind of alluded to. I'm going to take two bets here, and you both kind of alluded to them. So first, Matt, you mentioned the Ford Field aesthetics. Denver linebacker Nick Bonito may be out of this game, but that doesn't mean this game's not going to be Bonito. It's going to be pretty. It's going to have the Ford Field lights on Fox. It's going to be beautiful. And this game is soaring over the 47.5 total, partly because of Mr. Cortland Sutton and his 8 touchdowns in the last 9 games. 7 of them have come in the second half. So I'm not going to take his anytime touchdown. What I'm going to do, if he hasn't scored in the first half, I'm slamming Cortland Sutton to score in the second half. And you can get that for big juice. And the juice, honestly, it's going to be big, but it shouldn't be that big because this guy just scores in the second half of games. So take that and run with it because it's hitting.
Yeah, I mean, if that's the way it's been trending, 8 of the last 9, I don't think you have a bad angle there at all, especially if there's a little bit of juice on it. So, but let's jump over to Sunday now, right? We'll get into the 1 o'clock slate. Bears taking on the Browns, the elite Browns, behind elite quarterback Joe Flacco, elite defense. I personally think this team is going to make ridiculous noise. I already said in the last pod, the Browns are going to travel to Baltimore in the divisional round and upset them. And Joe Flacco is going to do it in front of the Baltimore fans. And it's going to be awesome, man. Goodell likes the headlines. That is a headline for the playoffs if I've ever seen one. So look out for the Browns to make some noise. I know it sounds crazy, but how ridiculous would it be if the Browns sneak into the Super Bowl behind Joe Flacco? I don't think the AFC, other than the Ravens, which the Browns are going to upset. I mean, I don't know where the AFC makes some noise there, but Jack, I'll let you see what's going on here.
Yeah, all I'm gonna say is if Joe Flacco takes this Browns team to the Super Bowl, Tom Brady's coming back next year. All right. And I don't think any of us are ready for that. So
That would be
we might have fucking Brett Favre come out the woodworks. All right. So let's pump the brakes on a Joe Flacco Super Bowl here. I love the passion coming out of you. It's great, but I can't ride that with you. I can't. I do like the Browns in this one. They have been hot. I can't really trust Justin Fields and the Bears. Even though they have looked a lot, they've looked a lot better on both offense and defense over the last few weeks. Ever since Fields returned from his injury, ever since they got Montez Sweat to help out that pass rush. They have looked a lot better on offense and defense, but I'm still going to roll with the Browns here at home. Tough place to play. My Jags saw that the other week. I'm going to go with Cole Kmet. I think they're going to have to throw the ball around a little bit. I'm going to go with my play is Cole Kmet over 36.5 receiving yards. As I just said, my Jags played these Browns last week in Cleveland. Evan Ingram had 11 catches, 95 yards, 2 touchdowns. I think Cole Kmet can manage 36.5 yards.
Yeah, so you mentioned Justin Fields. When I was looking at this game, I was just thinking, this has to be the biggest mobility gap between starting quarterbacks the NFL has ever seen. I was trying to rack my brain about any other game that's been like this, and the best I could come up with was maybe Mike Vick when he was on the Eagles against my guy Eli. But even then, Eli was still kind of in his physical prime. Joe Flacco's 38 years old. This dude has kids at home. He can barely jog, and Justin Fields might be one of the faster, not just quarterbacks, running backs in football. So
what about Peyton versus Cam Newton?
yeah, Cam was like big physically, and he was fast, obviously, but he wasn't like known for his speed.
That
I
top
guess.
speed though.
Yeah, he was quick, but he wasn't Mike Vick, Justin Fields quick.
I'll let you get back to it.
But yeah, because of that, and just because of that stat, I think it'd be funny to take Justin Fields over on the rushing yards. So that's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, I was on the Fields over last week, and I don't think it hit. So I'm personally staying away from that this week. But I don't hate the play. Fields is obviously always a run-heavy quarterback, and always is looking usually to get the extra yards and usually to move down the field. He definitely isn't shy about running the ball. So look out for him to go over that rushing. I'm personally going to stay away just because it kind of blew up in my face last weekend. And we're talking about Joe Flacco here. Look, I understand you guys might not be convinced. You're not sold on it. The guy's thrown for like 300 yards and 2 to 3 TDs in all the games he's been back. He lit up, what was it, the Jags defense last week? Absolutely lit it up. 300 yards, 3 TDs. He's got the best defense in football behind him. I just think, to dismiss him and discard him, it's not like we've seen him play 3 games. And to completely dismiss him like that when he's got the best defense in the NFL, best defense, and he's putting up numbers and has a talented offense, I just think it's look, maybe he doesn't make it to the Super Bowl or win the Super Bowl, but like if you're just dismissing Joe Flacco, like one of the political reporters said about Trump in 2016, dismiss him at your own risk because Joe Flacco can make some noise. And to prove it again, he's going over the 227.5 passing yards. Think he soars over that with ease. And I'll take the Browns on the money line. I think that's a pretty you should be able to get them at decent odds on the money line since the spread's only -3. So I'll go Browns money line. I'll take Joe Flacco's over passing yards. Look for him to have another 250 plus and possibly a couple TDs lobbed in there. Dismiss him at your own will. But I guess with that, we can kind of jump over to the Jets and the Dolphins. If the Jets win, not only will, obviously we have the Giants fans on their own delusional train, but we'll start seeing the Jets fans coming out of the woodworks on the delusion train. So we'll have 2 New York teams that aren't very good with delusional fan bases who are just analyzing all the playoff scenarios of how they can sneak their way in. If the Jets win this game, though, I think they have the more realistic shot to get in if I had to pick one between Giants or Jets. But it's going to be a tall task against a Miami team that is pretty electric. But there are murmurs. I mean, Tyreek Hill hasn't practiced the last 3 days. So there's a big risk that he's out for this one. Brian, I'll leave it up to you, man. With Tyreek Hill's availability uncertain, is this a game the Jets maybe sneak out and win?
No. This is a game the Miami Dolphins are going to be pissed about because they lost, obviously, in horrendous fashion to the Titans last week. They were the first team since 2016 to blow a 14-point lead with under 3 minutes left in a game against the Will Levis-led dead Titans team. So Mike McDaniel had the boys fired up. I think Mostert goes crazy here. Devon Achane goes crazy here. Even if Tyreek's not there, they still have Jalen Waddle. Tua might struggle a little bit against that good Jets pass defense. So I'm not going to touch any player props, but this Dolphins defense is good. I know they kind of got lit up at the end of last week's game, but Zach Wilson's not throwing for 300 again. The Dolphins are covering this spread. They're going to 10-4, and they'll have a chance to get that 1 seed in the AFC. So yeah.
I guess, man. Yeah. I mean, I honestly don't really know how to read this one. The over/under is a weird number, and you don't know how the Jets are going to come out after blowout win and Zach Wilson throwing for 300 yards. But Jack, are you with Brian here, or are you still thinking the Jets have a little bit of magic left in the tank?
I'm gonna ride with Brian here. I think that the Dolphins are covering that 9.5, but it's because of the line and the line and the public the way the public's gonna view this game. I mean, we kind of talked about it. The Jets coming off a big win, Zach Wilson looking great, throwing for 300 yards. Dolphins, on the other hand, blowing that prime time game against a rookie quarterback. Just awful. I mean, Dolphins fans were pissed, I'm sure. I had a ton of friends who were at the game down there in Fort Lauderdale, and they were all pissed. I mean, Monday night game, you get there after work, you're having friends, you're having drinks, and they blow the game like that. I mean, just terrible. So public is down on Miami, public is up on Jets, and still this line comes in at 9.5 Miami's way. It seems a little too big compared to what should be happening right now. So I think the Dolphins cover it. I think that they're gonna, as Brian said, not pump the brakes and not be satisfied at 14 points. This might be another Broncos situation. I'm not saying that they're gonna drop a 70 burger, but they could put up some points in this one. That's what I'll say.
They definitely can. And look, the Jets are coming off that big win, and the Dolphins are coming off a horrific loss. So, letdown spot for the Jets and a spot for the Dolphins to come in fired up. So definitely don't hate the play there. You know me, man. I don't hate the spread there, but I do hate big spreads. I kind of want to stay away from it. I do think they should be able to cover it, but it is the NFL, so things always get weird. But I do like Robert Salah is a fired up head coach. The guy isn't ever trying to tank. He's not going to keep players on the sideline. He's going to play the team and try and win games. This isn't me setting up for me to go Jets money line, but I am setting up to take Brees Hall's over receiving yards. They went to him pretty early and often last week, and he looked pretty electric out of the backfield. So I will go Brees Hall over receiving yards. Think he'll hit his number with ease, and I think it's a nice little check down option for Zach Wilson. I think they kind of found out they can utilize Brees Hall in the passing game pretty well. Let's see if Nathan, whatever his name, Hackett, gets creative and styles up a couple plays incorporating him into the offense. But for sure, Zach Wilson will at least have a couple checkdowns to him, especially if the pass rush is getting to him. So that's what we got for that one. I'm not even going to introduce this one. I'll just let Brian take over. The Giants. What do you got, Brian? I mean, I know we're going to get some kind of out of control play here, so I'll just let you have the floor.
Yeah, gonna bust out my singing pipes a little early here, but just a quick one. Oh, Tommy DeVito, how much I love ya. Make football better. They're gonna win again. Yeah, the Giants are winning again. I know the Saints defense is decent, but I refuse to believe any NFC South team deserves to be in the NFL. They should all be relegated to Canada. So the Giants are winning this game, and Tommy DeVito is he's going to throw for over 181 yards, and Saquon's going to score a touchdown.
This is a spot where the Giants have a major letdown. I know a lot of people are looking at it like that. I think a lot of people are going to say the 5.5 is a lot of points. I think this is a spot where the Saints cover the 5.5 and the Giants finally slow down. I just don't like the Giants. I want to just put it, Derek Carr, you have a chance to just put a nail in the coffin, end this nonsense, end this crap. I don't need to see. Look, the Tommy DeVito story, cool story, great, but it's getting a little out of control. Let's pump. You want to talk about pumping the brakes? Let's pump the brakes. Saints get the job done. -5.5. They win by a touchdown, maybe even more, and they put an end to this nonsense. Jack, how do you read this one?
Yeah, I hate everything about this game. I hate the Giants. Nothing good is. I mean, Tommy Cutlets. I mean, he's fun. Don't get me wrong, bro. What Brian said is right. He is making football fun again for those New York Giant fans. But the team overall is garbage. The Saints. Derek Carr is garbage. That was a terrible move for them to go get him. I could go on and on about that, but at the end of the day, hate this game. Hate everything about it. I guess my play in this one is going to be Saquon under 66.5 rushing yards. Don't necessarily think that he's got the juice to put up 65 rushing yards in this game. And the Saints are going to want to win this one. So
Yeah, I mean, and Saquon's usually been hitting his overs most of the year here. I at least cashed on Saquon over rushing yards, but you're right, the Saints defense is pretty legit, and it's a big letdown spot for the Giants coming in off three straight wins. So wouldn't be surprised if they we see a little collapse out of them here, and that's why I think the Saints are covering. It's a big line, it's a weird line. People are going to be all over the Giants, I think, all over the Giants, and this is one where the Saints just cover, and Vegas wins a shit ton of money because everybody's all over DeVito. On to the Chiefs and the Patriots. Patriots coming off a win. Zeke is the feature back. Who would have thought that in 2023? Ezekiel Elliott is the best offensive weapon on an NFL team and the feature back. Pretty nuts. But he looked pretty good last week being a pass catcher out of the backfield. I mean, 7 catches for, I think, 50 or 60 yards, rushed for maybe 40 or 50 as well. I forget what his rushing yards was. It might have even been less. I totally forget. But I know he had 24 fantasy points, and yeah, he played well. So look for him to have a nice game. But here's a game where the Chiefs get back on track. You saw Mahomes blow up last weekend at the refs, at the officials, in the press conference. Yeah, sure, it sucked. That was an awesome play by Kelsey, but it got called back. The guy was offsides, and Mahomes was bitching in the Super Bowl, or got that call in the Super Bowl on Bradbury last year. So it's real kind of ironic that he's bitching about ref decisions, where I think the offsides last week was more clear cut than the holding call last year. But I know everybody will have very different opinions on that. But in terms of this game, I think Mahomes is going over his passing yards. And I think we see a huge Mahomes game. I don't know what his passing TDs will be, and it's always tough taking that because it's not necessarily Mahomes, it's the people he's freaking throwing the ball to because they all suck besides Travis Kelsey. And I get it, they might have some nice young pieces, but this year haven't been good. I don't know how Kadarius Toney is still on an NFL roster. I mean, that guy is just a headache to deal with, but he's there somehow, I guess because they don't have anybody else. But give me Mahomes to go over his passing yards. And I'll sprinkle a Travis Kelsey anytime touchdown as well. Think he finds the end zone. But I'll give it up to you guys. How are you reading this one after a tough Chiefs loss last weekend? Jack, what do you got?
Yeah, there's a lot of ways that you could think about how the way that this game is going to go, but I like what you said, touching into Patrick Mahomes, and he's going to come out in this one. He's going to be fired up. I mean, losing to Josh Allen, I mean that's kind of like his rival, even though Josh Allen just has not been on his level as far as the statistics go and the playoff performances. They're sort of rivals, and to lose to your rival, even in a regular season game on a bullshit play like that, when you had it, I mean, he's going to come out in this one. He made an ass of himself too. He pulled a brother Jackson Mahomes move too. So he's going to come out in this one fired up. I think that they go to Kadarius Toney for a touchdown. So I actually have 3 plays in this one. I've got Kadarius Toney anytime touchdown. I've got the Chiefs -8. I think that the Patriots are just it sucks to be a Patriot. They're going to be falling victim to circumstance after what happened to the Kansas City Chiefs last week. Mahomes and the Chiefs, they're going to put a 40 burger on them. So I got the Chiefs -8. And then the last but not least, I got Bailey Zappi to throw an interception. I don't know if Bill Belichick lets him throw the ball more than 10 times in this game, but if he does, he's throwing an interception.
Yeah, it's usually that's why Zeke's a great play as well if you were to think about taking a Patriots prop. So we'll go and see if Brian's leaning that way because he's about the only guy you'd take on the Patriots. I really hope you don't address the Patriots though. But if that's the way you're going, I guess have at it, man. What do you got?
No, yeah, the Chiefs are winning this game. This game's gonna suck. It's gonna be Patrick Mahomes and whoever is gonna be the running back for the Chiefs just driving down the field and the Patriots giving it back every 3 downs. So I'll take the Chiefs 5.5. I'll buy it down to 5.5. Take Mahomes to throw for 250, and take Rashee Rice to catch three passes.
All parlayed, same game parlay or what?
Yeah, it'll be a little same game parlay with some negative numbers there to get it to a plus number.
To juice it up. I like it. Look out for Mahomes to have a day. Maybe even drops 40 to 50 fantasy points for your round one of the fantasy playoffs.
Yeah, no Pacheco in this one either. So definitely look forward to seeing Mahomes air the ball out a little bit.
Big Mahomes spot, and I'm here for it. But yeah, moving on. Bucks plus 3.5 against the Packers in Lambeau. We're in late December. It's that Lambeau aesthetic. Hopefully, we see some snow. I need to see some snow at Lambeau, man, around Christmas time. It fits the mold and the aesthetic of the NFL. It's what it is. You need it. We need it. We need to see the snow. So hopefully we get some crazy weather. I'm not sure what the forecast is. It's probably nothing crazy, but if we get some snow, it's a cherry on top. Tough one to read because I think the Bucks are somewhat competent at times, and then they're also not. So it's obviously you don't know who you're getting here. But if they show up to play, they can very easily not only keep the game close and cover the 3.5, they could probably eke out a win. Think the Packers have a little more to play for, but the Bucks are also still in the hunt in the NFC South. So it's like I said, a weird one to get a read on. Mike Evans, his total receptions is 4.5. I think he catches 5 balls in this game. So I'll take the over 4.5 receptions. Like I said, 5-6 passes should be more than doable. And I think he gets the job done there. So give me Evans over 4.5, and I'll throw it over to you, Brian. How do you see this one going down, up in Lambeau?
Yeah, I've talked about it the last couple weeks. The Packers cannot stop the run at all. This might be the worst run defense I have ever seen in the NFL. So because of that, I'm going to take Rachaad White, not just his rushing yards. I like his receiving total too. So I'm going to take his total yardage. I believe it's over 99.5. The Packers can't stop anybody running the ball. So yeah, Rachaad White is clearing his all-purpose yards total, and he might clear it by 100 yards. So that's my play.
Yeah, he definitely could he could have a field day. I totally agree. But Jack, you taking a money line here? You going the player prop route? How is this one playing out as you read it?
Yeah, going the prop route, taking Jordan Love to throw for over 250 passing yards. Short and sweet. That's it.
I like it, man. At home in a spot where they need him to be great. So look for him to be slinging the rock, get an early lead, and keep tacking on points. Really to put the Bucks away early so that it isn't a close game where anything can kind of happen. Packers need this one bad to kind of just right the ship a little bit and get back on track. I know we said the Bucks are kind of in the hunt there in the NFC South, but Packers probably need this one a little more, especially being at home. So look for them to have a big day, I guess. But that's the place for that one. I think we gave out a little bit of some pretty solid juice there. I think all those plays have a very, very good shot at hitting. So love that there. I might even parlay all three of our picks and throw them in a same game parlay. So Commanders, Rams. That's what we're moving on to. I don't care.
Wait.
No, I'm not doing the Falcons.
Before we move on from Falcons,
I'm
Panthers,
not doing the
I
Falcons.
just want to give a shout out to Derek Brown. He had a big day last week. That's all I need to say. 10 tackles. He had an interception. Shout out Derek Brown, War Eagle. All right.
War Eagle.
Bullshit. There's the Auburn. There's the Auburn. There's Auburn fucking kicked right into it. Fucking nut kick. God damn, man. Another horrible one. This took a turn for the worse. What are we, squad riding the Rams team over?
I'm down.
Let's do it.
Who cares? The Commanders suck. You normally take the Rams minus 6.5 here, but I think Jackie brought up a good point. Minus 6.5, the most publicly placed bet, however you want to word that. That's what all the public's on, is minus 6.5. So I don't think that would be safe, so to speak, to hand out as a squad ride. Obviously, hailing the public usually doesn't end out very well. The Commanders are horrible, but when that much money's on it, man, I get real nervous, and we'd be doing you guys a disservice if we handed that out as a squad ride. So We will squad ride. I think we can all be in agreement. Rams, what was it, Brian? Do you know, was it over 27.5 team total just for them to score? Do you have a
Yeah,
number on that?
it depends what book you find it on, but it'll be around 28. So yeah, I mean, I think we're all confident in that number.
If
They're
you
going to
can
score at
get them
least.
at 27.5 or 28.5, take their team total. I think they're soaring over it. We all think they're soaring over it. And that's why it's the squad ride of the slate. Should be a pretty ugly game. The Commanders they don't have a pulse. They're not very good, obviously. Ron Rivera should have been fired probably 2 weeks ago. Didn't get fired. I guess they have the whole respect factor because it's Rivera, been there for a while, this, that, and the third. But yeah, just give the reins to Eric Bieniemy. He might even already have the reins. They're just letting Rivera stand there as a statue because it looks nice, I guess. But yeah, get Bieniemy in there, and we'll see if the Commanders can kind of turn it around for next year. Which they're in the Eagles division, so I hope they don't. But either way, moving on to the Niners and the Cardinals. That this NFL season has been. I mean, every slate is loaded with nonsense games. And I understand there's divisional matchups like this one here, Niners, Cardinals. So it's got to happen, and it's got to happen twice a year. But man, some of these games have been brutal. Most of these slates have been brutal. We've obviously had some electric games sprinkled in there. I understand every week can't be great, but come on, Goodell. Enough of that little rant. Niners, Cardinals. I mean, is this a letdown spot for the Niners, or are the Niners just going to blow them out and cover the -12 with these? I'm curious to know what you think, Brian.
They're going to cover the -12 with ease.
Jack?
Yeah, they're the hottest team in football. I mean, I know what you want to say about the Giants and all that, but they're the hot. They're the best team in football, hottest team in football. I don't care how you want to word it. They're the best team in football. The Cardinals are bottom five in the league. This could be, as any given Sunday is, an upset spot where they could go, upset like they did Dallas in week 3. But no, I don't think the Cardinals are doing it this time around, even though they have Kyle Murray now. Not that they had him last time, but I still don't think that they have a shot against this Niners team. All I'm really hoping for in this game is Ayuk outperforming Deebo Samuel. That's a nice fantasy matchup I've got in first round of playoffs this week. I got Ayuk. He's got Deebo. Deebo's been red hot. Hope that comes to a halt this week. I didn't give a pick, but my pick will be Ayuk anytime touchdown.
But yeah, no, I don't hate the Ayuk play. I think the Niners should be able to cover this, but I don't like the 49ers. I hate Dallas, and the Niners are almost turning into an NFC East division team because I can't stand them or their fan base. Like, replace the Niners with the Commanders, and you have 3 teams. I don't hate the Commanders because they suck. So there's no reason to hate them because they're just not a threat. The Giants have been horrible, but I have so many friends, and I just, obviously being in Philly is obviously pretty close to New York. So there's just delusion everywhere. And New York fans are the worst because they're the most delusional. So it's can't stand the Giants, even though they haven't been relevant for at least the last 10 years. I really honestly don't know which way to go here. I guess I'll just take Kyler Murray's rushing yards again and hope for the best. Don't feel confident in it. I know I said this will be a week where I have 2 or 3 losses. This is probably one of the losses, but I can't take anything pertaining to the Niners. I hope Brock Purdy goes out there and throws 4 interceptions, and that's all I got for that game. Yeah, moving on to the Cowboys and the Bills. Probably the best game of the slate. Obviously, the Sunday night is a heater as well, which we'll get into next, but still a pretty good game, right? The Bills fighting to stay alive in that playoff picture. Obviously, it's up in Buffalo too, so going to be a pretty rowdy atmosphere. Bills Mafia will definitely be ready to go, and especially coming off that win in Kansas City, it's still New York, it's still delusion. We'll see a lot of fans getting up for this game. And look, I hope they win. That'd be awesome if they could knock Dallas off. And I think they got a real shot to do it. You're not going to catch me taking any Dallas props or money line spreads or anything. Cowboys even underdogs in this one. There's a reason they're underdogs. Probably going to see a lot of public money on that +2.5. I'll take the Bills on the money line. Let's get it done, Josh. Help the Eagles out here. This is a huge spot for the Birds to kind of really, really wrap up the NFC East. Obviously they still got to win on their own, but a Cowboys loss here would be huge for a lot of different reasons. Not only the NFC East, that means better playoff seating. So big spot, Josh. I got faith in you. Give me the Bills money line. Jack, I want to know how you're reading this matchup.
Yeah, these are two good teams. I mean, the Bills have had their struggles this year, but they're a good football team. Josh Allen led team is a good football team. I'm having a tough time getting a read on this game on who's going to win it. I think both these teams are capable of putting on a kind of performance that will get a win against the other really good team. That 50-point over under is really enticing to take the over, but at times both of these defenses have looked rather elite, and both of these offenses have looked pretty bad. So I'm having a tough time reading this game. My play in this one is going to be Brandon Cooks over 39.5 receiving yards. So 40 plus receiving yards for him. And then I see James Cook is sitting at 51 and a, oh, is that, yeah, 51.5 rushing yards. I'm going to take the over on that as well. So I've got some Cook and Cooks plays here. But all I'm going to say is let's cook. Let's hit some overs and let's cook.
Let's do it, man. Let's see the Bills get a job done here. Ryan, how's this one playing out in your head?
I love the let 'em cook parlay. I really want to ride that with you. But as Auburn basketball legend Malik Dunbar would say, it's about that time. It's about that time the Dallas Cowboys show the world the frauds they are. And the Buffalo Bills have a 53% chance to make the playoffs with a win here. Buffalo Bills are going to win this game. They're going to cover the 2.5. It's in Buffalo. It's going to be rainy conditions. Dallas plays indoors. Dare I say Brandon Aubrey misses his first field goal of his career in this game? He might. He doesn't have that dome to help him out. Buffalo wins the game, and the Dallas Cowboys are frauds. Dallas, you're not getting 2 championships in 1 calendar year. Fuck off. Go Bills.
Damn right, Brian. Couldn't agree with you more. I know we disagree on a lot, but hell yeah, man. Couldn't have said it better myself. Dallas can kick rocks. Hopefully we see Dak get crushed in this game. 3 interceptions, sacked 6 times. I would be a very happy camper and top it off with a Bills money line win. Hopefully they cover the spread. And then we'll roll right into Sunday Night Football, which is another heater. Ravens taking on the Jags. Not much introduction needed here. Jack, I'll just let you take it away, man.
We got 10-3 Ravens, first place in the AFC, traveling to Jacksonville for this electric Sunday night matchup. I've actually been, kicking the can back and forth all week. Should I drive down to Jacksonville, go catch this game? The jury's still up, all right? We're recording this Friday night. I very well could wake up tomorrow morning, ship it down to Jacksonville, stay the night down there at the family's place, and go hit the bank on Sunday night, tailgate with some of my cousins down there. I still might go, man. Don't don't count it out. But I'm super excited for this game. This is one of the games you have circled since preseason. You're looking at it, Lamar, Trevor Lawrence, week 15, with third, fourth to last game of the regular season. This is where playoff implications come into play. I thought that the race for the 1 seed would be a little bit closer at this point between us and potentially the Ravens. I didn't know who was going to be king in the North at that point. But there's been plenty of issues, especially to the quarterback position around the AFC North. So Lamar playing at an MVP level for this Baltimore team. I'm going to be honest. I'm scared. I'm pretty scared for this one. I think that this game, one of 2 things is going to happen. Either Lamar Jackson comes out here and puts himself as the front runner in the MVP race, because I don't understand for what reason it's Brock Purdy. Lamar has been doing it Just as good of a record with not as good of a team. I know he's got a good defense, but he's working with Odell Beckham Jr. In his 10th year in the league. Mark Andrews out for the year. J.K.
Out for the year.
Dobbins out for the year. The dude Rashad Bateman can't stay healthy more than 2 weeks. So Lamar's doing it with a lot less. And I think that there's no reason he, compared to a Brock Purdy or Jalen Hurts, a lot less. So he's my MVP front runner right now. I think he might solidify himself as the MVP front runner, to the public after this Sunday night game against the Jags. Yeah, either the Jags take this one home at the bank and really solidify themselves as a legitimate threat for that AFC title, or Lamar Jackson is going to take home the MVP because of this game. Those are the two ways I see this. What are my plays for this game? Jags on the money line, Jags on the spread. I mean, come on, what more do you want from me? I'm the delusional Jaguars fan. What do you guys expect over here?
Yeah, and the plus 3.5 isn't a horrible play. And look, the Jags win this game, the Ravens go to 10-4, and if the Browns win, they go to 9-5. Who's the quarterback of the Browns?
No, stop it.
Watch out for some magic there. I see the Ravens probably winning this game, but I like the Jags a lot more being at home rather than having to go play up in Baltimore. So I think the Jags have a shot, but obviously the Ravens are a little bit of a hotter team. And I think the Ravens, for the most part, play pretty well in these primetime type games. So look out for them, obviously, to have a nice night. Yeah, in this one, I'm just going to keep it simple. I think Odell Beckham goes over 37.5 yards. He had like 120 or 110 receiving yards last week. Prime time. They'll be wearing the black helmets. They'll look super cool in prime time. So I think they're wearing the black helmets. I hope they're wearing the black helmets because they're pretty sweet. But I don't think they'll have some alternative helmet on. But give me Odell's over receiving yards. Hopefully he hits it. 37.5 is a pretty low number considering he had over 100 last week. Look for Lamar to find him, obviously, with no Mark Andrews. So that's the play I will give you. Brian, how's this one playing out?
Yeah, the Jaguars defense could not stop a blind person running through quicksand. Unfortunately for them, Lamar Jackson is not blind, and he's not running through quicksand. The Ravens are winning this game. The Ravens are going over their team total, and Keaton Mitchell is scoring a touchdown.
Definitely a hot matchup, and we could go on and on about this game, but I think all that's left to play is let's see how it plays out Sunday night. We hope to see you boots on the ground in the stadium. Would be pretty electric, man. So yeah, you kind of heard it from Jack there. If he is boots on the ground, look out for some great content because that is a hell of a game. To push out for content wise. So check out for that. Follow along. We'll definitely promote it if Jack does pull the trigger. So like I said, look out for it. And moving on to the final game of the slate. If you made it this far, you made it to the best one. Birds traveling out to Seattle to take on the struggling Seahawks, right? I mean, the Seahawks started out very good. Nobody expected them really to have an amazing year, but they started out better than most expected and obviously have came back to earth and are kind of where they probably should have been all year. So after the nice start, back down to earth. Eagles, obviously, 2 disastrous weeks in a row. This is where they figure it out on the road where they don't usually play well. So definitely not a very helpful statistic there, but hopefully they figure it out, right? I mean, this is a spot they need to be great. Hurts needs to be great. The turnovers have to stop. If you don't turn the ball over, you're not going to lose the game. I fully believe that with the Eagles. If they take care of the ball, they can move the ball, and the defense has to plug the holes and somehow be competent. I think Geno Smith's back and playing. Get him rattled. The Eagles' defensive line is way more talented than the Seahawks offensive line. Look for them to terrorize not only the running game for Seattle, but to get after Geno Smith. And, it should allow, I mean, look, DK Metcalf could have a big day if the D line doesn't get after it. I know we've seen the Eagles D backs be worse than Swiss cheese, just absolutely getting annihilated the last 2 weeks. Think they pull it together a little bit here, and it's you know if the Cowboys lose, this almost turns into a must win. So I think they win the game. You win if the Cowboys lose and you win this game, you're right there for the division because you just have the Giants, the Cardinals, and then the Giants to end the year. And if you can say whatever you want about the Giants, I don't give a crap. The Eagles are not losing those games. I really don't give a shit. If you want to talk about Tommy DeVito, this, that, and the third, wait till big Jalen Carter's flying at him and fucking lays his almost 300-pound body on him. We'll see how Tommy Cutlets gets up like that. He's going to be flatter than a cutlet. I'll tell you that much. So big juice on the birds. Give me them on the spread -3. I hate the push, so I'll take the 2.5. Look for them to win big too. Wouldn't be surprised if they win by 10. I think the defense should be able to step up, but the only thing that scares me is on the road where the Eagles statistically I don't think play very well. But the biggest thing in this game and to look out for is the Eagles D line versus the Seahawks O line. I think that is where the game will be won. Eagles have a way better D line than the Seahawks O line. Look for them to get after it. Jack, I'll start with you. Are you reading it that same way, or did the Seahawks play spoiler in a sense of just kind of really disrupt the Eagles' end of the season here?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think, I gotta backtrack you on that real quick. I mean, I understand what you're saying there, but the Seahawks aren't playing spoiler. They're 6-7, but they're in the hunt. They're one of those teams that doesn't listen to the noise on the outside, like a Steelers or something like that. It expects to be in the playoffs every single year. That's sort of the culture that Pete Carroll has built there. That is what Geno Smith is really, he's a mature guy. That's what he's expecting. That's what he's commanding. DK Metcalf, the drama queen that he is, that's what he wants. He wants the playoff experiences. He wants the Super Bowls. He wants to do all that. But they're very motivated to win this game. There's no doubt about that. They've got a tough road ahead of them with this Philadelphia team. I think what you said about that Philly D line against the Seahawks O line, that is going to be a key matchup in this one. But another key matchup in this one is going to be the Eagles DBs against these Seahawks wide receivers. I think everyone was a little confused when the Seahawks took Jackson Smith and Jigba with their first round pick this year. When you have a guy like DK Metcalf and his number 2 is Tyler Lockett, one of the better duos in the league. And then you go ahead and you spend your first round pick on a rookie wide receiver. And don't get me wrong, he big guy at Ohio State, a lot of promise and all that. But the way that they use all 3 of them, I still am not a huge fan of it. But let's see if they can do that, use all 3 of them effectively and expose a relatively bad secondary for this Eagles team. In this game, I like Geno Smith to go over on his passing yards. I think that they're going to find absolutely zero success on the ground. Ken Walker has been battling injuries, same with Zach Charbonnet. They really don't have a healthy back to go out there. So I think a lot of this is going to fall on Geno's shoulders. And, with the way that they're pretty much backed up against the wall, I think this is time for Geno to shine and do give it everything that he can. Because if they lose this game, I think their playoff hopes are shot. So this is going to be a big one for Seattle at home with the 12th man behind them. I'm not going to take them on the spread or the money line, but I am going to have Geno Smith to go over on his passing yards.
But Brian, I know you obviously got an anti-play here. I guess I'll sit here and listen to it because I kind of have to. But let's hear it, man.
Yeah, this one's a bit of a stretch. There was a very popular sitcom called Cheers way back in the day. The therapist character on there, name was Frasier, had a spin-off show called Frasier. Cheers took place in Boston, but Frasier took place in Seattle. So I'm stealing the Cheers theme song because it was better. But Frasier was on Cheers. So it all works out, all right? It's a Seattle song. Making my way through the world today takes everything Gino's got. Taking a break from all your worries, just gotta beat the Eagles. Wouldn't you like to win the game? Sometimes all you gotta do, throw the ball to DK. He's gonna score a TD. Geno Smith over on the passing yards. Kenneth Walker scoring 2. Seahawks gonna win the game. So that's what Geno over passing yards, Kenneth Walker to score, DK to score, and yeah, and Seahawks money line. Little 4-piece.
All right. So if you want a donation, tail that play as Brian hands out an anti-Eagles parlay. Once again, has not been hot on them at all this year. The only times he had a shot to be hot, he doesn't hand out the anti-play. So look, it's a spot where he doubles down on it and comes back to it. And it's a spot where the Eagles really need to show up and step up and win. So I don't say, we'll see what happens because it's not crazy plays. If you remember back in the beginning of the season, Brian was handing out like Brian Robinson 3-touchdown anti-Eagles parlays.
Which might have been the closest, honestly. He almost got there.
Which honestly, looking back on it, yeah, it might have been. But yeah, there's the anti-Eagles parlay. But other than that, great show, guys. I know it went a little longer because, the buys are done. And so we get a lot, the extra games there. And, we had a lot of good stuff in there. But I'm looking to go red hot. I'm really confident in my picks and honestly in all our picks this week. I think we really locked in and gave some good analysis and some good picks. So looking to stay red hot. I'm definitely tailing a good amount of what we handed out this week. So not only are we just handed out picks, I'm taking just about all of them, and I feel really confident to go really strong. And have a strong weekend. So should be a fun one. We're getting right up against the holidays. Make sure you guys are aware we are splitting it up into 3 parts next week for the NFL pod. So just kind of be alert for that and look out for different content as those start to drop. Don't be like, whoa, they missed a bunch of games or whoa, this or whoa, that. We got you covered. We'll hit the slate. We'll hit the games. And we have a shit ton of more content that's going to be dropping as well. So look out for all the Bowl Miss fun. And other than that, I got nothing left. Let's have a freaking weekend, boys.
Welcome to the jungle, Bronny. Good luck. You're going to need it.
Lamar, get sacked, son.